So, since the last time I podcast, I have been for a few days in London with the family. So while I was over there, I have a few acquisitions which I will leave to the end, and I'll give you a bit of a rundown of our holiday. Today is going to be mainly knitting. I did, before I went to London, I sorted out, did a couple of days off work, I sorted out all of my whips. As I'd mentioned the last time, I went through them all again, decided what I was going to be working on, and I have reorganised my current active whips. So I'm going to go through those with you. So there's quite a few that I've been bouncing back and forward between. And I have a little bit of embroidery and cross stitch to update you on, but I'll leave all of that to the end so that you can enjoy the knitting at the start. As always, I will have the chapters below so that you can bounce back and forward between the things that you want to look at. Welcome or welcome back. My name is Angela and this is the Angela Makes podcast. This is episode 21 and I bring you it from just outside Belfast in Northern Ireland. It's so good to have you back again. I feel like it has been quite a while from the last one, but I think it's just that we've done so much as a family in between. So, finished objects. This is the Lady Violet sweater, which I finished before I went to London. I didn't take it with me because I knew the weather was going to be warm and I absolutely did not need it over there. I had t-shirts on and flowy dresses just to try and keep cool. It was humid. It wasn't overly sunny, but it was very humid. So this definitely would not have worked. In fact, I'm actually warm sitting here at the minute. However, this is the Lady Violet, which is I think the original sleeve is just beyond your elbow, but obviously you can do it whatever length that you want. I believe that Rachel was trying to get most of the sizes out of 2 skeins of 4-ply and the similar yardage, meterage in a mohair or lace weight yarn. So I've already gone over the yarn quite a bit in this, but just to recap, my main yarn was Drops Nord in the colour 20, and the Drops Nord has 170 meters per 50 grams. I used just under 4 of these, so just under the 200 grams. I have that amount left. I think actually 3.5. I think there's 25 grams left in this. As I said, I did the shorter sleeves, but I did do a longer length than what's in the pattern. So, although I don't think that would have accounted for the length of the sleeves. And then the other one that I did was the Yarn Smith's Kid Mohair Silk. And this was in the colourway, I'll put it on screen because I can't remember, and these two together gave me this beautiful colour. So as you know, with the Lady Violet you have your lace running down the raglan at the front, but there is nothing at the back. The pattern is by Twin Satin Pearl. Rachel designed this particular one. And they had a cal running from May to July, so I decided to join in and do a short sleeve version. Plus I really wanted to try the Yarn Smith's Kid Mohair Silk. So what all did I change? I changed the gauge, so it is a 15 stitch gauge. Let me check actually. Yes, it's a 15 stitch gauge. Using, as I say, 4-ply and a lace weight yarn. That's on a 6mm. When I did a gauge swatch, I didn't like the fabric that I got with a 6mm. I came down to a 5.5 and then I came down to a 5, and that was the process that I had used with the one that I had done, was it just before Christmas or just after Christmas, in the Giddy Aunt yarn, mohair and 4-ply. It was a much darker colour, so the lace was harder to see, but I had done that gauge swatch and ended up down to a 5mm. So with this, I started with a 5mm. I liked the fabric. I had the same gauge as with the Giddy Aunt yarn, which was 17 stitches. Their row gauge is 22, and I roughly got that it was 22 or 21 and a half, something like that. But I never mind the row gauge as much, especially in a raglan where I'm able to check the depth of the yoke, or check the depth along the raglan, and then I'm doing my own length anyway. So because I was using the 17 stitch rather than 15 stitch, I calculated the number of stitches that I would need for here to achieve. Size 1 is a 46-inch bust finished chest measurement, and that should give you, the intended ease is 2 to 10. So in essence, if you were a 36-inch bust, that first one would give you 10 inches of positive ease. Sorry, not negative, of positive ease. For me, at the minute, and my bust fluctuates, it's 40 to 40 and a half. So that would give me 6 inches, which I was more than happy with. I don't like my tops tight. My hips are a little wider, so again it means that the bottom sits, the bottom of the sweater sits better. And but if I had have done the 15 stitch, I would have only had maybe 1 or 2 inches, if even, of positive ease. So I decided to go up to the second size, which with a 15 stitch gauge gave me with a 15 stitch gauge would give me 10 inches of positive ease, thereabouts, but it ended up giving me about 6, which is what I like. So when I tested, as I say, my gauge was 17. I remember doing a little bit of a calculation before to show you how I worked that out. I will put a similar one for this up again. I think it actually was the Lady Violet I did it for. So the Lady Violet gauge is 15 stitches by 4 inches. So if you divide the 15 by 4, you'll get 3.75 stitches, which is 3.75 stitches per inch. My gauge, whenever I did my gauge swatch, was 17 stitches by 4 inches. So if you then divide 17 by 4, you will get 4.25 stitches per inch. So you can see that it is a little bit different, and that will affect the number of stitches that you have to get the chest circumference. So size 1 is 46 inches. So if you take that and multiply it by 4.25, which is my gauge, then you will end up with about 196 stitches. So if I look at after you split for sleeves, the total number of stitches that you have, that is kind of at your chest, and see if there is 196 in any, or close enough to it. If you go for the 50 inch, then it's 50 times 4.25. And if you multiply those together, you will get about 212 stitches. And again, that is after you split for sleeves. I'll do size 3 as well, just so that I always do 3 sizes. Size 1 is what I would do if I was 15 stitches, if I'd got that gauge. Because I haven't, I calculate the 3 sizes so that I can see which one I need to use best. I want one where the stitch count is close enough. Now, I'm not going to give you the stitch counts of the pattern, but if I did that, 54 times 4.25 gives me 230 stitches roughly. So if I look at the pattern, then size 2 gives me the closest stitch count to size 1, the 196 stitches. So I go with size 2 for this particular pattern. It is still less than the 196, but not by much. So I was hoping that that would still give me enough within the pattern to be able to get the positive ease that I needed. Hopefully this calculation will help if you're trying to work this out for yourself. I didn't change anything else. I didn't change any numbers. I didn't reorganize here in terms of how many stitches for the sleeves in the front and the back. I just changed my gauge, went up a size and knit that size straight forward. Whenever I put the sleeves back on, I knit 10 rows straight, and then I did 8 rows of a 2x2 rib, which matched the neckline. And I'm happy with the length. I like that the tops of my arms are covered. I worried that it would be too long or too short because some of my other sweaters have been too short, but I absolutely love the length of these. So as I say, 10 and then 8, and it just, as you can see, hits. I will put a video in of me standing up and wearing it because that will then allow you to see the length. The length of this is suggested that you continue the body for 9 inches. I think I continued the body for 11 or 11 and a half maybe, and then did 2 inches of ribbing on the bottom. I cast off normally, so I know I had been watching the Twin Set Apparel podcast, and I know that Joe had done this in an absolutely beautiful colour, a really lovely sandy beigey colour, and she had trouble with her bind off, so I have switched between sewn bind off. I have tried Annika Strick, which I quite like the finish of that one, but I just decided I got to the end of this one and I really wanted it cast off, so I used the 5mm needle as my cast off needle, and it's perfect. It's not too tight, it's not pulling in at the bottom, it's absolutely perfect. So again, it's something to be mindful of and to think about whenever you're casting off. I don't mind the regular cast off because it's normally, it's maybe more here and here I would be a bit more thoughtful of the type of cast on or cast off, but at the bottom it doesn't bother me. Everyone has their own opinion. So I just did a standard, knit 2, pass 1 over, knit another one, pass 1 over, but I went up in a needle size to make sure that it wasn't cinching in too much at the bottom. So that's the only things that I did differently. I used the pattern as was, but I shortened the sleeves, didn't reduce any stitch, didn't decrease any stitches, didn't do anything different, just picked them back up again, picked up the recommended stitches under the arm, knit 10 rows, 8 rows rib, cast it off. And again, I did the same cast off on the sleeve. I didn't do anything fancy. The neckline, you cast on the neckline, and this is as wide as it is. So I know from knitting the ranunculus and from listening to a number of podcasts, people felt the ranunculus ends up too wide. For me, this is nice. If anything, I'd like it a little bit more open, but I like this. I wouldn't want it any tighter up. So that is the Lady Violet. I really don't think there's anything else to say. I absolutely love it. It is warm at the minute. As I said, I was in London and I managed to catch a bit of a cold, so I'm still feeling a little bit nasally and a little bit warm. So yeah, this feels warm. I do want to test it out, and I will come back to you in a later podcast to mention whether I'm finding this itchy or not. At the minute I can feel it prickling, but I think it's because I'm too warm. So I want to wear it in a couple of weeks. The weather will have cooled down again here where I can wear something like this, and I will let you know what I think. But the Lady Violet is another one of my go-to. I will definitely be making another one of these. They're so easy to wear, and thank you to Rachel and Joe for suggesting the shorter sleeves, because it just made me do it, and I really like the short sleeve length, so absolutely perfect. So that is my first and only finished object. I'm looking around because I feel like I finished something else, but maybe I didn't. Maybe I have that many whips on the go that I feel like I finished something else. So let's go on to whips. So one of the ones that I talked about the last time was the Uptown Tee by Tori Yu. So it is in my butternut handmade bag, my unicorn. That bag was going to go to my daughter, it never made it there. I loved it too much, I kept it. So she might end up with it at some stage. What I have done with this one is to finish off, and I've now split 4 sleeves. So my sleeves are on hold, and I have about an inch and a half done. So the only thing was, when I was looking at this earlier, I realised I have made a mistake in the sleeve. Now, I'm not going to go back, and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see that, but there's a mistake here where I've ended up merging 2 of the lines. About here, where I've merged the 2 lines, but I'm not going back. I did try it on. I'll hopefully put on a bit of a video. I haven't looked at it yet, and it literally just fits under my bust. But the depth is good. I thought those sleeves might be a bit tighter on my arm, and they're absolutely not. As I said, I really liked these sleeves, but you are working different stitches on both, so that, as you can see, these lines are going out the way and these lines are going out the way, so both look symmetrical rather than lines going one way and these ones going up over the other direction. So I really like that. The rest of this is stockinette, so I will just continue to add a few rows every day, or every few days, and that will be that one. The yarn that I'm using is Molten Yarns, so Kerry Ann, she dyes, no, maybe it's just Kerry, she dyes yarn here in Northern Ireland, just outside Belfast as well, and she has her Etsy store, Molten Yarns, if you want to go and have a look. She always has reasonably priced yarns, and she does do quite a few sales every now and again, and I like to support her and buy, well, I bought 3 skeins of this, but one of the skeins I used for Brenda Brayfield's shawl, or no, scarf, so the other 2 I'm using in this, but I am loving it and I love the fit. Again, the neck, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to try this on, because you're casting on and you're just knitting and stocking stitch, so it's just a bit of a rolled neckline, hopefully you can see that, and at the back it's giving you a bit of a roll, which I do like, and again it's slightly wider than this one, but completely manageable. It's not too wide either. So this one and the next one that I'm going to show you are both on 3.5mm needles. That's what works for me for the gauge, and I did get gauge on this particular one. I haven't changed the gauge, and I've changed nothing else so far. I probably, if I have enough yarn, will make it a little longer than the pattern suggests. I do like my sweaters a little bit longer, but yeah, I'll not show you this one again until I have it finished, but I loved it. So that's the Uptown Tee by Tori Yu. And the only difference really than a raglan sweater is this beautiful lace detail, and it's so easy, so easy to follow, and so easy to still manage your increases within those sleeves of the raglan. So beautiful pattern. I should really look and see actually what size I'm doing in this one. Just by way of a contrast whenever you're seeing me putting it on. So to say that last one at about 5 or 6 inches of positive ease. Yeah, so this one I've chosen the 42 inch, so it's probably only about an inch of ease. So I still like it, and because it is a much lighter t-shirt, I decided to go with the 42 because the 46 in this one, I didn't want an overly big t-shirt without the mohair. This one, because it has the mohair, I wanted it a little bit bigger, but because I was just using 4-ply, I decided to go for the smaller one. I hope I don't regret it. So I did the 42, the third size, in the Uptown Tee of Tory U. And I'll compare that again with the next one. So the next one that I've brought back into rotation is the Summer Sorrel by Wool & Pine. I'm doing the 46 in this one, so I decided to go up in this one. I had a little bit more yarn as well, so I was trying to conserve yarn in the Uptown Tee, but when I've tried it on, I am more than happy with the fit and the positive ease. This one in the 46, just in case that the Uptown Tee was a little bit tight, I was happy enough to rip it back. This one I didn't want to rip back, and I've wanted this t-shirt for ages and ages. So the 46, again, this is where I go back and forward and try to, sometimes I like a little bit more positive ease, sometimes I like a little bit less. Sometimes I feel if there's too much positive ease, it just makes my top end look too big. So I'm always trying to balance out what fit I want. So I've gone for the 46 in this one, and again I have now split for sleeves. I took this one with me to London because I wanted to get the split done, and I am doing the fade in this, which I absolutely love. So again, I'll put in a video. I've just tried this on, or at least I hope I will put in a video, and I'm loving it. I love the fade. I followed the fade in the pattern. So in the pattern you're given video tutorials, and there's a password in the pattern, so you can go on and have a look. So it shows you how to create these dip stitches, and it shows you how to do increases and decreases. It shows you how to do the short rows and the short rows within the dip stitches, but none of it is complicated. It's really nice and easy to follow, and the videos for any visual learners are really handy. So the videos are excellent part of these patterns. They also go through the fade. So as I say, on the back page, it tells you what their fade, how they've faded and how they've done the transition. So I followed that. It's over 20 rows. Yeah, so they do the fade over 20 rows. Now, as you know, the yoke is growing quite a bit. So I'm already on to my third colour. I have 6 50-gram balls for this one, which I've shown you in the past. But I'm on my third one now. I'm going through it so much slower. I do still need to decide what I'm going to do with the sleeves when I get there, but I know where I finished in the fade for the sleeves, and I do have a little bit of that yarn left. So I'll decide that when I get to that point, and I'll update you. But isn't this just beautiful? Now it's not blocked, and I will obviously block it and show you it at that stage. It's sitting a little bit bumpy at the minute. I know that is just going to block out beautifully. The stitch was really nice. You're really only one row where you're doing the dip within, let me check and I'll tell you, 7 rows. You've one row where you're doing the dip stitch. The rest is pretty straightforward. There's really, it looks complicated, but it is absolutely not. And as I say, the video does help in terms of how to do the dip stitch. Now what you will also see is that in between that is all purling. So while you are creating the yoke, you are purling. Now that I have got to the stage where I have split for sleeves, you now start to knit from the inside out, so you're just knitting round and round. Now, the one thing that I would check is what your purling is like comparative to your knit, because you would see a difference. I don't think you can see a difference. I've only done a few rows here. I don't think you can see that much of a difference. So this is all of my purling and this is me into knitting. But I think it's coming along okay, and I'm happy enough, because I did think initially, oh, that my knitting could be different, but at the minute it's not. So that would be the only thing I would check, both your purl and your knit, in your swatch so that you know if you're wildly off. Maybe you need to go down a needle size, maybe you need to go up a needle size, but your swatch would let you see that. But I absolutely love this pattern, and I'm really loving the fade. I would also like one plain, which I might do at some point, but I am loving this. So I'm at the point now where I have split. I have done literally 2 rows, so I need to now just knit in the round until I get to the end. The body of this, you do a ribbing. So the neckline, that's something else I wanted to talk about. What you will see when I've tried that, so this is the neckline. Again, you cast on, there's a, it's not even, no, actually, hold on. You do an I-cord cast on for this, so it is a bit fiddly, but really worth it. So that is the I-cord cast on. I'm not sure how that's coming up, I'll know when I edit. But you've got the I-cord cast on there, and that's it. We're not going to go back and add anything to that. So the sleeves and the body have a rib cast off, but that's I-cord cast on is your neckline. So it's a wee bit fiddly, but again, the pattern steps you through it, and it is really easy to follow. What you will see in the video, I'll put it in again, is that it is a good bit wider. So it's sitting, it is covering my bra straps, but it is sitting a good bit out, but I like it. So that is something to possibly consider if you're thinking of this. You could possibly go down a needle size to get it a little bit tighter, but I like a wider neckline and I love how this one is sitting. So I'm going to continue to work on that. I have these are the next 3 colours, so we're getting darker and darker, but they're the next 3 colours that I have to work on, and the one that I'm using at the minute is a good bit brighter, so they're the next 2. But yeah, I have absolutely loved that pattern. Really nice to work on. It actually was really nice as a travel project. I had it in my Mickey Mouse bag, so that's the size of it. I had all 6 balls and the sweater in here, plus another couple of bits and pieces, as you do when you're traveling. I had some of my barber cords, I had scissors, those sorts of things. Now it is tight, but everything fits in. I haven't got my barber cord in. Everything fits in. So I threw that in my case. I didn't take it in my travel on. Because I knew we'd be walking a lot during the day, and at nights I'd have a bit of time, and I did get that finished. Now just before I left, I dropped stitches, and didn't I drop the stitch right at the dip stitch bit, so it just dropped the whole way down. I had to take back 7 rows of 420 odd stitches. It was delightful. So that was my first night over in London, ripping back 7 rows while trying to maintain the dip stitches, because I knew I wouldn't have been able to pick them up, so I literally had to do stitch by stitch. Anyway, I got there, I knit the rows back up again, and I managed to split for sleeves. So that was a lovely project to have with me. So Summer Sorrel by Wool and Pine. They do have a winter one, and they do have a 4-ply look. They have lots of different options in the Sorrel, and they're beautiful. They're all really lovely, and they show you or tell you how to transition. Okay, so the other project that I had with me was a twin setting pearl Alexander shawl, because you all know that I love my twin setting pearl, and I wanted this for the plain. So I had started it the night before I left, just so that I had the first 10-15 rows done, and this is where I'm at. So I had seen Rachel and Joe, definitely Rachel, no, maybe Joe did as well, use the dauber ball, and I wanted to use, I bought one ages and ages ago, and then didn't know what to use it for. So this had a couple of iterations because I didn't know what to pair it with. So this is mine. You can't see it, but there is a mustard fleck in this one. So I tried pairing it with the grey, so you can see the grey coming through at the minute. I tried pairing it with purple, but there's too much purple in it and it didn't give me any effect at all. So when I seen the mustard coming through, I had an old Giddy Aunt yarn, and it has almost like pink through it as well, like a really pale rose pink through it. So I decided to pair these two together, and this is what I've ended up with, and I absolutely love it. So that's my Alexander. I am in section 3 at the minute. I won't be too long till I'm finished it. Now, what I did do, my last one I did on a 3.5, and I think actually Joe says to do it on a 3.5. The Zobber ball is a little bit, there's more meterage to 100 grams. Can't remember what it is right now. I'd have to look it up for you. I'll put it on screen. So I went down to a 3.25. I do love my Knit Pro Zings, as you know, so I went down to the 3.25, and that's what I'm knitting this on. But I'm loving seeing the colour fade on the screen. It is nice seeing it in person, but when you can see it on the screen, it's coming up really lovely. So I'm about to do this sort of a colour again now, where it's more of the grey coming back in. So I will continue working on that. It's a lovely easy travel project, and I have it in my other butternut handmade because it was really handy to throw into my travel on case. So I just had the 2 balls of yarn and this, and my needles. I didn't get stopped. I was able to knit on the plane. Nobody stopped me. This time we flew with EasyJet. When we went to Paris a few weeks ago, we flew with Aer Lingus, and again I wasn't stopped. I was able to carry needles. I don't, if I'm carrying scissors, I carry floss, tooth floss, so that I can rip, but typically I'm at a point in a pattern where I don't need scissors. So I try to make sure of that, and the flights that we have been doing are an hour and a half. Actually on the way home it was 50 minutes, so there's not a huge amount of knitting time anyway, but it's enough to keep my mind occupied when we're flying. So that's the Alexander by Jo Harriet of Twinset and Pearl, and I will continue working on that because I love the colours. And then the last thing that I cast on when I come home was another Musselburgh. So I have literally just started it. Hold on 2 seconds. I want to get a stitch stopper in this because I know I'm going to pull it off. So this is the colour. I have done all my increases and I'm now just knitting in the round. And this is one of the Yarnsmiths Merino, or is it the sock? It's the sock, sorry. Yarnsmiths sock. And I'll put the colour up on screen because I'm not sure what it is. It's a teal or a petrol of some description, but I'll put that up on screen. So that was the other thing that I'd started when I came home, as I want it for a present. So that's the ones that I have been working on. The one other pattern that I have set out is the Andrea Mowry. I started this so long ago and I did very little on it. It's the Traveller Hoodie. I really like the pattern, but I will want it longer, so I'm not sure. I think I've enough yarn. I can't decide what I'm going to do is to finish the length the way that I want it, and then see if I've enough yarn left for the hood. The yarn that I have chosen to use for this is a Stylecraft yarn. So this is how far I've got. It's a bottom up pattern. It's a bottom-up construction. And I'm showing you it inside out, which is always great. Okay. So you can see it's a self-striping yarn. So it's the Stylecraft vintage look. I'm not even sure if they do this anymore. I got this so many years ago in a closing down sale. And I'm not sure. I know they do Life DK, but I don't know that they do the vintage look anymore. This is 100 grams. It is 298 meters, 75% premium acrylic and 25% wool. It's the shade Indigo 2132. And I loved it at the time because it had the purple, it had the grey, it has navy through it, and I really, really liked it. And as I say, I do really love how it's knitting up. So I'll keep going on with that one. I am at the point where I think I only need a couple more inches if I was going by the pattern, but that's not what I want. So I'm going to have to figure this out. This is where a top down is much easier because you can figure it out a little bit better, because I'm not sure the sleeves. I'll put a picture up. The sleeves on this one look quite, they're quite a depth. So I'll try to work that out from the details in the pattern and see what length I need this. But I know looking at it and looking at it on others, it's too short for what I wear. So I want it a bit longer, so I'll have to work that out. But I picked that up. I found it again in a drawer and I decided that I didn't want to rip it out, that I wanted to keep going with it. So that's the Traveller Hoodie by Andrea Mowry of Drea Renee Knits. And it's really nice because you have a couple of rows of purl, a couple of rows of knit. If you don't like purl, probably not the pattern for you, but purling doesn't bother me at all. It actually makes it feel like it's going quicker because I've so many rows of knit and then I'm changing to purl and then so many rows of knit rather than just knit, where I kind of feel like I've got bored. So, and the other thing is that you have this kind of faux seam coming at the side, both sides of this one, which is really nice too, just using slip stitches. But I'm really enjoying that as well. So that was the other one that I'd found in a cupboard that I started however many moons ago, and it was one that I decided not to frog. So they're the ones that I'm picking up randomly since the last podcast and having a look at. And I'm enjoying all of them. I'm enjoying all of those patterns. So from there, I have one finished embroidery. So it was my niece's birthday. I completed one of the tails from the hoop. So I had ordered kits from their Etsy store, which I will try to remember to link down below. And this was the fairy one, so I'll put a little bit of a picture up, but I loved this. I loved how this came, the packaging, all of the thoughtfulness around the instructions and how they were printed and the paper they were printed on, and everything was just lovely. You get everything you need in the package, including the bit for the backing to cover off the frame. And it's just beautiful. I really like the way that Tales from the Hoop package up and send out their kits. I had never embroidered before. I had done one in June, and then this was my second one. Both of them were so nice to follow, and I think it's a really professional finish, so I absolutely loved them. So that was my other finished item, or finished crafting. So beyond that, it is London. So we decided to have a bit of a different holiday. We're not really that keen on really warm, just lying on the beach or trying to even investigate when it's too warm. We love investigating and seeing different places and trying different foods. My daughter's normally quite good with food as well. So we tried London so that she could see the likes of Buckingham Palace. The other thing that she really wanted to do, and I really wanted to do, was Harry Potter Studios tour, so we did that. And we did the Tower of London and Big Ben and Westminster and saw 10 Downing Street. just so that in London she can see all of those things and knows that she has walked past it. And she said that that was one of the fun parts. She said she still preferred Disney, which I have to agree with her. I think I did too. But even the shopping in around London, experiencing the tube, all those different bits and pieces, I think it's just a life experience which is worth having. So we packed quite a lot into a few days. And then I also went to Loop London, and I went to Liberty London, which was absolutely stunning. I have been in London a few times. I have obviously been crafting for a long time. I have bought Liberty fabric in the past, but have never gone to Liberty London, to the department store. It is absolutely stunning. The building from the outside, inside the wooden lifts or elevators, but it's just the most beautiful store. There were some jellycats which my daughter was so happy to be going and seeing, so she prowled while I prowled around the fabric and the craft section. That a whole haberdashery section. I was so tempted to buy myself one of their patterns and the fabric and make a dress, but I've decided that too much knitting on the go, starting up the cross stitch and the embroidery again, it was best not to do that. So I treated myself to 3 different things. I got a pack of their cotton fabric, so I haven't opened this yet, but hopefully you'll see a bit of a variety of the colours. This is the Lassenby cotton for quilting. You get 5 fat quarters in this pack, and I'm going to do a project bag, and I don't know what I'll do with the rest. I might make a couple of lanyards so that I have them, because I'm always putting lanyards so that I can carry my AirPods case. My daughter wears lanyards for different bits and pieces as well. So, but I just loved the fabric. I thought the blues were stunning. And this is my little piece of Liberty London, so I bought that rather than off the rolls. And then I decided to get a cross stitch. Now this is it's not Liberty, but I know I bought it in Liberty. So this is from Innocent Bones, and this is the pack. Within the pack you get the pattern. You get a set of instructions, you get your Ada, and I've already started this one. So I started this one. I started it, had to rip the whole thing back out again because I'd made a mistake. And it was a mistake that I couldn't backtrack on. So this is it. This is the heart done for the second time. You get the hoop in the frame, you get your needle, you get so much embroidery thread. So it is wrapped up like that. I didn't do that, it came like that. So you get your colours, and as I say, then you get your instructions and your chart. So they had all of these on a wall, so that they didn't have a huge amount of cross stitch kits, but the ones that they did have, they had stitched out, and this was the one that I really liked. It is a tarot collection, which I'm not necessarily into tarot reading, but I love that it said strength. I really like that idea for something here on the wall in my craft room come office for work. And I just love the colours. So that was the one thing that I got and started while I was there. And the other one is a Rowan Dean embroidery. So again, they had these on the wall. So within this particular one, you get the little beads, and you get bits of fabric too. There's green fabric in there. I think there's a little bit of pink as well. And then you get all of your embroidery threads. So this was one of the ones that I really, really liked that was up on the wall. So I got myself one of those also. The other thing that we did was to go around Westminster Abbey. It is something that I have never done before. It's something that my husband has never done before. And we we spent ages in it actually, and I wasn't sure how my daughter would she get bored, but she was fascinated by the history and how many years that has been standing there for, I think, close to 1,000 years, and the building and experiencing it and knowing the history of it and all the different uses and people that have been through the doors. It was a really nice experience. So when we went into the shop, and these are cross stitches that I have seen over the years everywhere. They are made in Scotland by Textile Heritage, and I got this one to remind me of the windows in Westminster. I don't think this is specifically, it's a stained glass window, it's not specifically Westminster Abbey, but because I've started embroidery, I thought this needle case would be really, really nice to keep my needles, and a little reminder of Westminster Abbey, because as I say, we all really enjoyed going round and having a look at it. Again, I haven't opened this, so I will work on that over time, but the front and the back of the needle case is embroidered. So they were all of the kind of embroidery and stitching and fabric that I bought. As I said, I went to Loop London. It was down the most beautiful, quaint, lovely street in London. They had 2 floors, 3 floors, and it was beautiful. They had lots and lots of different fabric, different yarn. A couple of the one I wanted to feel the Durham Natura. I'm not sure, I'm probably butchering that, I'm probably not saying that properly at all. And the other one, they had Life in the Long Grass, which is actually from here in Ireland, but it's too far south. I haven't ever made to see it. And the other one is Hedgehog Fibres, which again is right down the south of Ireland, and I haven't actually seen it in person before, so I got to see both of those. And the other one, oh, I'll put it on screen. There was another one that I wanted to see, and I came home with none of them. None of them. A number of years ago, I had bought the Mini Scout Shawl scarf by Florence Sperling. I really loved the patchwork effect of that. I'll put a picture up of it. So I got a kit. The kit doesn't come with the pattern, but as I say, I already had the pattern. So you get a lovely Loop London bag, which I thought again would just be really nice for a project and remind me of my time in London. I did look up other yarn stores, but Loop London was 20 minutes from our hotel, and I just felt that I wasn't going to drag everyone around more yarn shops, especially when I didn't actually need yarn. So let me see, the best way to try and show you, these are the colours. So these are Madeleine Tosh Merino Light with, it says Madeleine Tosh Merino Light with unicorn tails, or Ching Merino Singles with unicorn tails. I think this is the Madeleine Tosh. So they will be the colours. I really did love the colours, and I can't wait to try that. I need to split them because it's done using intarsia, so it suggests that you split your yarn so that you have enough to carry across. So I will fill, I've never done intarsia before. I'll fill you in on how that goes, but yeah, I enjoyed walking around the store. It was really quite busy. We went on a Sunday. It was open from 12 to 4:30 on a Sunday, and we walked over, and then there was an Amazon Fresh, which we've never used before either. So we went in and were completely baffled by scanning a QR code, lifting the foods that we wanted, and walking out the door. It was so bizarre. And within 10 minutes I got a receipt of everything that I had lifted. Talk about being watched and tracked. No, we hadn't lifted that much because we were staying in a hotel, but we wanted to have stuff in the fridge that we could snack on, yogurts and different bits and pieces, and the fridge was really good. Some hotels the fridge isn't great, but ours, the fridge was keeping things really cold, so we lifted a few yogurts and a few cheese snacks and that type of thing, just so that we could have something in the hotel. So yeah, that was my kit from Loop London. And if you're ever in that area, I would suggest having a look. It was beautiful to walk around. I really, really did enjoy it. And then because we were away, when I came home, my wool kitchen and my Beehive yarns monthly subscriptions were here. So the wool kitchen one is a 6-month one, so this is month 2. So month 1 was this, so everyone should have this by now. Hopefully I'm not spoiling it for anyone. And this is the card that goes with it. So this was month 1, and that is the yarn. So I have ordered the BFL Superwash DK 225 meters per 100 grams, and this is the Lotus Flower. So it's a lot brighter than what I would normally knit. What Helen had put up on her Instagram was that she was thinking of the Wool and Pine, the last one that I knit, Light Bright, but they have the one, no, the Light Bright is in DK, they have an extra Light Bright, but I thought the Light Bright within the DK would be good, so I ordered the DK. And then this month, so if you don't want to see this month, you might need to skip on or come back. I will aim to have it bookmarked in the bottom. So this is month 2, and this is the yarn, this is the colourway. So this one is Anthuriums. So that's what we're fading from into. Now what I'm going to do is to wait until I have all 6. The Sorrel that I'm doing at the minute, I've gone from light to dark. I'm almost tempted to go dark to light on this one, so I'm going to wait until all 6 come through. I'm then going to decide whether I do another Sorrel or I do the Light Bright. So watch this space, but those colours are not necessarily me, but I like them, and I do believe it'll give me a lovely bright top for evenings and weekends over the winter to not make things feel so dark. So that's month 1 and month 2 of that. And then the Beehive yarns. So we're on to the next 3 months of Beehive yarns, and this is the inspo. So this is July's, August and September's. So again, if you haven't seen this and don't want to, look away. But this is the July. I ordered this in the Audrey Classic Sock. So 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 212 meters per 50 grams per skein. So what I'm going to do is to show you all of the colours together. So this was the one that I had. I don't have January and February, but this is the stack so far. And the more that I look at this, I definitely want a blanket. So I'm going to use these colours in a blanket. So I will get either a cream or a beige, and I'm not sure which blanket, and I'm not sure whether I should crochet it or knit it, but I want to do it in a patchwork style. So again, watch this space, and I think I'll wait until I have all of the colours before I choose. But that was July's, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Those colours are beautiful. So that's that. So that's really everything. We had a lovely time in London. It's very expensive. Everywhere is expensive. I don't think it matters whether you're in London or Belfast. If you're going out for food and there's any more than one of you, it feels like an absolute expense to eat and to drink and to keep yourself hydrated. But we had a brilliant time. We enjoyed everything that we did. The Harry Potter studio tours were absolutely amazing. I'll put a few pictures up for you to see. I love Harry Potter. I have loved the books. I have loved the films. I rewatched them many times. And I always knew I wanted to see the studio tours. Stupidly, what I didn't realise was that that's the set that they used for filming. So from years 1 through year 7, so for all 8 of the films, that's the set, the studio set that was used. So it was fantastic to see it. Gringotts Bank was stunning. The Great Hall was so good to see, and the lights hanging down. And Diagon Alley was just brilliant to see, the setup of it as well. So as I say, I'll put up a few photos and let you see it, because it took all our breaths away. And my husband wouldn't necessarily, he hasn't read any of the books. He does watch the films with me when they're on in the background, especially if he's working on some of the 3D printed files that he would be designing. But he hasn't really concentrated on it. He wouldn't call himself a fan, but he loved it from the point of view of knowing how they had done some of the imagery and the camera work and all of the work that goes on behind the scenes. They took us through how they filmed the underwater scenes in the Goblet of Fire. And again, just the thought that goes into some of those, some of the parts of the film was absolutely unbelievable. So it was really good to see, and that's something that we were all really interested in. We came out buzzing. And the shop itself is nearly overwhelming. It is so big and there is so much to look at. But it was just lovely. The Harry Potter studio tours, if you're ever considering it, absolutely do it. Now, just one thing actually, we could only get booked in for the evening because I kept leaving it too late to book. The evening slot starts at 6 or 6:30 during the summer. It is still more than enough time to see everything. We felt a little bit rushed at the end. So if you arrive, now we did arrive early, we got food before we went in. But I would also advise to arrive even earlier if you can, and go around the shop first, so that you don't necessarily feel as rushed at the end, and then you know what you want to pick up at the end. The queues are long in the shop, but they move very quickly. But as I say, we absolutely loved it, and hopefully you've enjoyed seeing some of those photos as well. So thank you very much as always for joining me on this journey. I hope that you're enjoying your summer break or winter break, depending on which part of the world that you're living in. And I will see you next time. Happy crafting. Bye.